Hey everyone, Captain Amazing here, and today I want to talk about when you should farm Leviathan. So let's jump into it. So the Leviathan is a very difficult farm on when you should choose to do it. It is pretty unique in that it's pretty expensive. It really is. It has two Relic 9s with Darth Revan, Darth Malik. The ships themselves are good, and even if you don't go for the Leviathan, if you have the Fury class interceptor, you can place it with the Sith fleet under almost any fleet leader, and it is very effective. So I've seen a lot of people do it with endurance, and the team requires an actual fleet to beat it. It has pretty much the survivability of what you would get for the Leviathan. But when do you actually go for this ship? Like, is it worth going for? Would I recommend it? I'll say this. I do recommend the Leviathan for a fleet. So it is the top of the meta for a reason. It carried me all the way through Kyber. The second I got it, it has been amazing. And when I farmed Leviathan, I had SOKR and Executor. So do I recommend farming farming the Leviathan when you're that far? No, I wouldn't. The reason I did that was for fleets. So my fleet shard is from 2018. So when the Leviathan came out, it was pretty much Leviathans, like all Leviathans. And it was very difficult for myself to compete. So I did have the Executor, and luckily the first few months the Leviathan came out, it was pretty lackluster. It had a lot of issues. It was getting beaten really easy by the profundity, and over time, by the time I unlocked it, it actually the same month is when they patched it. They added a few abilities that made it directly counter these profundities, and it worked out pretty well. So the main reason why you would want the Leviathan is so that you can maintain first in fleets. First in fleets is very important. It gives me a ton of crystals, 400 crystals a day. That's an absolute F ton of crystals over the course of a year. And if you are struggling, and I see a lot of people struggle in fleet arena where they're like, I can't really compete. And even let's say if I didn't have a Leviathan counter, you can see there's just like a wall here of just Leviathans. So the highest I would be able to get right now if I didn't have a Leviathan killer would be top 15. Like I would have to go here and beat out this Executor for maybe 15. Interesting enough, they have a negotiator here. Okay, with the Marauder. Yeah, I don't see that very often. I've never seen that dude before, but it's very difficult if you don't. In my shards, kind of like in the top 50 is not very active, but top 20, pretty much all Leviathans. And if you can't combat that and you can't beat that, then you're going to struggle. You're not going to have the crystal income, and crystals, that extra crystals drives refreshes. Those refreshes are the most efficient thing that you can do, and it allows you to progress at a decent speed for certain things, because you use them for shards, you use them for Chirotech. You can farm some certain pieces with it. I just farm one specific piece for fleet and normal energy other than my shards, but you know, people farm for different reasons. But going down to when you should farm the Leviathan, so there's two key pieces that you need to have to be able to farm it, and that holds people back. One of them is Darth Malgus. The other is this ship, the Fury class interceptor. And Darth Malgus is very difficult to get. I do have a guide on how to get it with SOKR, but this character is very, very hard to unlock, and that was the biggest bottleneck that I had was and that's luckily I found a way of unlocking Malgus with SOKR, and from there I did normal conquest, well, hard conquest, but like the conquest to get his ship, and I unlocked him. And I just took every single crystal I had, I invested it directly into the Leviathan. So do you have to do that? You can do that. If you have one GL ship, so I would say bare minimum to start going towards the Leviathan, you need to have one GL ship, hopefully Executor, and then one GL, whatever that is. And you have to have the ability to unlock Darth Malgus and the ship. And if you can do that, then you can get the Leviathan, and it is an investment because you're going to get fleet crystals out of Fleet Arena. Even if they come out with a new fleet, they're highly unlikely that they're going to make a tier above Leviathan. It's way too early for that. So if they do bring the next fleet, it's going to be comparable to the Leviathan. And usually what they do is the new fleet is slightly better, you know, profundity to the Executor, the Negotiator to the Malevolence kind of thing, where the light side ship comes out after, and it's just a little stronger than the other one. So with that, it would be good for you to go and get the new 2025 ship, but we don't know what the requirement is. It could be absolutely ridiculous. But if you have the Leviathan, then chances are they're going to be able to beat each other. Like the Leviathan can beat whatever this fleet is, and whatever that fleet is can beat the Leviathan, and they're comparable to each other. So having the Leviathan could shore up the longevity of being viable in Fleet Arena, and then hopefully if you don't want to, you don't have to farm that new thing right away, because the Leviathan is going to give you that ability to farm fleet crystals. It's also good on defense, like it gets hold. It's amazing on offense, so it's an overall amazing ship. So I would highly recommend farming it, but it's really difficult, and I don't have a set like X, Y, and Z. It really just depends. Are you having a hard time with Fleet Arena? Can you climb? Are you being pushed past, I think it's like 27. So if you're 27th in Fleet Arena, if you attack as far as you can go 5 times, you can still get first. But if you start 28 and over, you're going to have to refresh fleet crystals. And even at 27, if you lose a battle, then you're going to have to refresh fleet crystals to get first. So it is very annoying. So if you're, the biggest reason why I have the Leviathan is so that I don't get attacked like in Fleet Arena. It's very difficult, because for a while I probably could have survived with Executor for a very long time, longer than I needed to farm Leviathan to get first. But having the Leviathan, people don't specifically target me. Like these two profundities here, they're gonna get attacked and pushed down somewhere here in the 18s to 20s, and they're gonna have to climb back up every day, which means they have to do 4, maybe 5 attacks every day just to win. And the profundity versus Leviathan counter isn't guaranteed, so they still have a chance of losing. So that's not great. So if you can farm, or if you can have a Leviathan and be able to do 1 or 2 attacks, and that was probably the greatest thing about having Leviathan, is it just allows me to sit here pretty comfortably. I do my 1 or 2 attacks to get first every day, and that is all I have to do. So it's going to depend on what your fleet chart is, but overall, if you have the Leviathan, if you just put that on defense as well for Grand Arena, that's going to probably carry you to Kyber. It's going to be a very, very long time until someone can beat this on defense. The only thing you have to do is see, do they use the Leviathan on offense? If they do, then you're going to have to put this Sith Assassin on the start, and if they use anything else to try to counter it, then you put the TIE Dagger starting with this lineup, and it's going to shoot you all the way up into Kyber, because no one's going to be able to beat it. And all you have to do is put really crappy ground defenses, and you can put okay other fleets in here if you want to, but if you do that and you just take everything on offense, you're going to be able to attack pretty cleanly, and they're not going to be able to beat your Leviathan. And if you get the full clear and they can't, then you win. So When do you farm the Leviathan? When you want to, as long as you have one GL ship, and just know it's an investment. Like, you're going to have to drop everything that you have. You're gonna have to take all your crystals and put it into unlocking those 2 conquest characters, and if you can do that, then you should farm the Leviathan. It does also have 2 R9s, and you're gonna have to farm Malik, which means you have to farm Darth Revan, which means you have to farm Jedi Knight Revan, and those 2 farms are good. Like, they're 2 good characters. Having an R9 Darth Revan, having an R9 Darth Malik is actually pretty wonderful. Like, all the fleet requirements that I've had to have at R9, so Admiral Radis, Revan, Malik, they feel great. I love having them. They are not only premier fleets, they are excellent in ground. Like, Sith Empire is a wonderful fleet. So am I saying to drop everything and go for Leviathan? No, I'm not. But if you want to dominate in Grand Arena, if you want to dominate in fleet arena, then Leviathan is a very viable option. And like I said, I got into Kyber. Well, I had Ray by the time I got into Kyber, because I got it really quickly because of Lightspeed bundles after I got the Leviathan. But I had 2 GLs, 2 GL fleets, and that's it. And I was holding in Kyber. So I would say, if you want to, and in all the roster reviews I've ever done, I may have recommended only like 2 or 3 people farm the Leviathan, and because it's very difficult to farm, and that's the issue. So if you want to aim for the stars, if you want to be the best you can, then fleets is the way to do it. Like, if you want to punch up way above your belt, farming all the fleets is how you can compete against those with like ridiculous amount of GLs compared to you. Because I've had like 2 GLs, 3 GLs, 4 GLs, now 5 GLs, about to unlock my 6th, and I've been competing against accounts that have all the GLs, and the way that I do that is through fleets. So if you want to be a contender, if you want to separate your account and punch up way above your weight, then farm the fleets, because there's only so many ships in the game, and then farm your mods and datacrons, believe it or not, and then you're going to be able to compete against those. You may not win all the time, but at least you'll hold, and you'll be able to start getting those Kyber crystals, which is going to speed the growth of your account as well, and as well as give you Fleet Arena, which is going to also speed the growth of your account. So all in all, when do you farm it? It's up to you. As long as you have 1 GL ship, then farm away. If you have all the requirements, like if you have Revan, you have Malik, you have Malgus, you have all the ships, and you just don't want to know if it's worth the R9 material, I would say yes, it absolutely is. And if you are expecting to just only farm the Leviathan and have that be, like, if you ignored fleets forever and you don't have the Profundity, you don't have the Executor, you have crappy, you don't have your pilotless ships, and you think farming Leviathan is gonna fix all your fleet problems, well, it will fix your Fleet Arena problems, but it's not going to fix your Grand Arena problem. You have to farm all the ships. So when should you farm it? When you want to. Thanks for watching. I hope this answered some questions. Who knows? It's just my thoughts on when, and it's very difficult, but that's my thoughts on the Leviathan. So excellent fleet. I have no regrets of farming it as early as I did. I will say that it is a commitment, so you really have to dive into it, just do the best, but the payout is amazing. One final note on that payout: if you farm the Leviathan, just know you need to take it to 7 stars. If it's not at 7 stars, it's not going to perform the way you want to. It's not going to hold on defense. It's not going to be doing what you need it to do. So if you do farm the Leviathan, just know it's not just the price of entry. You're also going to have to save crystals afterwards to get it to 7 stars as soon as possible. So thanks for watching. If you have any comments on like when you would want to farm Leviathan, or if you are, or when you think you will, let me know in the comments, or you can let me know what you want to do next for when you should farm. Otherwise, thanks for watching everyone, and take care.